Hi, it's a morning at about 10 o'clock, and it's one of those mornings when I work on painting and gluing and other modeling stuff um, for Dyson Dungeons, which is not about modeling, but about a Dungeons and Dragons show. But you know that, and I'll say that like once or twice during the stream just to remind everybody. But when there aren't any things to do for the show, like dungeon tiles or minifigs, then I've been building models because our DM wanted the stream to keep going for some reason. I'm not sure. I think I keep saying this, and if I keep saying it, it might be true. Um, it makes me get out of the way for like 3 hours, 3 days a week, so almost 10 hours of time when I'm not in the way upstairs. So I get to go down in the basement here. It's kind of like when I was a kid, like between the ages of maybe 9 and 16, and it was a just a good thing for everybody for me to just go down in the basement and build models. So it's kind of like that. At least that's my take on it, which may or may not be true. But it is one of those days when I do this, and I'm still working on the Pogo, which you can see here. It's getting close to being done. And what needs to be done on this model, I was almost going to say what needs to be done today, but that's always a dangerous thing because when I think something will be done during a day, usually about half of what I thought was going to get done actually gets done. But what needs to be done yet on this model is that little bits of it need to be painted black. You can see I did some masking. So up here and on here, those need to be painted black. And the anti-reflection thing up here in front of the cockpit needs to be painted black as well. And I masked these a long time ago. A long time ago was last week Friday. That was a long time ago. I mean, kind of. So these need to be painted black, and I'm just going to hand paint those with a soft brush and black paint, flat black paint, the same black that's on the inside of this. And hopefully they'll turn out okay when I take the tape off. If not, then it's just going to be messy. So I see, though, that like here, between last Friday and now, the tape is pulled away from the surface a little bit. So I'm going to, push the tape down, make sure it's sealed. The edges that need to be painted so that the paint doesn't go where the tape is or under it. How many times I need to go over it with my thumbnail? Probably like just once, but apparently I'm doing it multiple times. So after these are painted and the paint is dry, we're going to have to watch paint dry today. Then I can put the decals on. And once the decals are on, then it will be really close to being done. All that'll be finished, all that will need to be finished yet is the canopy, which needs to be masked. And the masking will take up hours. I mean, just a huge amount of time. I'm just preparing you for that because it's tedious and requires really good eye-hand coordination and careful attention to taping detail and that kind of thing. So if these, I mean, this is a little bit, if this messes up, then it's a real mess. So I'm hoping it doesn't mess up. But it has to be done, so I can't keep putting it off forever. Well, I suppose I could just abandon this model now I could just say, oops, not doing any more on the model because I don't feel confident in my ability to pull it off. I could just do that. It's kind of tempting. But then I'd have to start something new or give up the stream. And I've kind of decided what I'm going to do next, which is 1965 Ford GT350. The Shelby GT350. I think I'm not like 100% firm in that. I'm like 85% firm that that's what's going to be happening next. But I'll talk about that later. I need to get on with the painting here. Because it needs to be done, and unless it's done, it's not going to get done. And it's even though it's a thing that could really make a mess of everything I've done so far, this is the best solution that I can come up with, given my skill level in materials. So yeah, going to happen. So the things that could go wrong here, one thing that could go wrong is that the tape isn't on right, or it doesn't mask well enough, and the paint seeps underneath the tape, and then it has a ragged line instead of a nice straight line. That's a thing that could happen, and that wouldn't be a good thing. The other thing that could happen, and I need to really be careful about this, is that I could stick my fingers in the wet paint, or even just one finger. I could stick a finger in the wet paint and then touch the wet paint finger to another surface like the wing, and then not notice it until the paint dried, and then that would be even worse. That would be even worse than if the paint seeped under the mask. So I think I'm going to do this first. I'm going to paint this first and then hold it like by the wings so I don't put my fingers on here. Tape had to bend because it's not a straight line. So I'm just pushing down on it, just on the little bits there where it's like kind of folded a little bit. Trying to get it as tight a seal as I possibly can. Like I said, it's not going to do it itself. It has to get done. And so here goes. Here goes painting in the morning. I haven't even used up 20 minutes talking about what I'm going to do or not want to do or try to avoid doing. Try to do this without having brush marks and I don't really want to second coat this. the most important thing is to not touch it again. Yeah, it help. You could see what I'm doing if it were on camera. That might be now. At least the paint is nice and opaque. Try to get the edges. Got like 10 times more paint than I needed. I don't know why. I don't know why I got so much paint out. Yeah, that was almost a touching a painted surface. I tested this. I tested the paint and the tape combination on a piece of paper, and it worked. Hoping that's the case here. If not, well, then I just got kind of a mess, don't I? Good thing I checked that. There were edges there that weren't painted. Nice flat black anyway. Actually, yeah, wow. Okay, I have to say I'm happy about this. Not necessarily the painting, but I sanded and sanded and sanded this, and I think I got it. So it looks okay. This paint dries pretty quickly, so we will all get to see the results for better or worse. Hopefully better. Fairly soon. I just need to set that there. I'm going to set that there, and you can watch the paint dry. Watch the paint dry while I clean the brush and wonder why I got so much paint out of the. I'm going to have to order more of that. I've been using a lot of that black. There's two blacks, a flat black and a gloss black, and I've got a spare of the gloss black, which I don't need because I hardly ever use that, but then I use a lot of the flat black, and eventually that will be gone, and then I'll go, oh, I need some flat black, and I won't have it. Okay. So while that paint is drying, actually I can take the tape off before it's fully dry. Sometimes that's a good idea with like latex paint on a wall, because then it doesn't peel off. But if I do that, there's the danger of the wet paint will get on my fingers because it's on the tape. So I won't. The next bit is to apply the decals. And if you look at this, the picture, it's got navy and the stars and the tail number and some red bits here, like little warnings, like don't stand in front of the propeller when it's rolling, that kind of thing. So there's a red dot there for a reason. I think that's like where the fuel goes in, maybe. Well, there's decals that go on all these spots, and they're here. I got them protected in some paper towels, and there's instructions here. The instructions are pretty funny, but once these are on, it'll look a little more interesting. So frequently, when you've got things like dots here and dots here and dots here, different, when you've got decals like this, and there's this little symbol, usually there's like a number there, okay, that corresponds to a number on the decal sheet. But all of them have just this little symbol of a diamond with an arrow pointing. Like, what good does that do, right? You can see where the decals go. Let's look at the sheet, see what I've got. Yeah, so there's numbers on them, right? Great. See, these are ones and these are twos. These are bigger, these are smaller. I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing that the bigger ones go on the wings and the smaller ones go on the fuselage. I'm going to guess that because they're nicely numbered. See, all really nicely numbered, and then not here. So for better or worse, that's what's going to happen. Is the big ones are going to go on the wings, and the smaller ones are going to go on the fuselage. The smaller symbols in the Navy thing. I don't know where these are supposed to go. There's circles, and there's another decal sheet. So there. So the tail numbers go on the tail. Yay. Yeah, this is 135294, right? This is 137567. That's a totally different one. And then there's danger. The danger goes up here. Dangerous because that's an air intake. You can't see what I'm talking about. Sorry. So danger goes here. That. Okay, that works. Fuel system, static bend, right? Fuel. So here and here, those are the fuel spots there and there. And then those are the circles, those circles. So, okay, so I know where all these go. These go on the tail. The danger goes on the air intake. The fuel goes into where the fuel goes in on the plane. And these red circles go under the canopy right at the front of the leading edge of the wing because there's just circles. And then, the small symbol and the small Navy are going to go on the fuselage, and the big ones are going to go on the wings because why not? And I don't know where these are supposed to go. You know, advertising conveyor. There doesn't seem to be a place for them. They're just ads. This is XFY-1 138649. You would think that would be the tail number, but the tail number is 137567. So I don't know where 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 are supposed to go. As I said, they have these are really helpful. There's supposed to be little numbers in here to say, okay, put number 2 here, put number 7 here, but there's no numbers. So whoever put these instructions together it's just terrible. It's just the funny part is that on this side, you know, all the parts, there are numbers, right? And usually those refer to a number on a tab on the sprue where the parts are attached. But there are no numbers on any of these parts. So I have to say, Lindbergh, you know, whoever you hired to put these instructions together, the instructions and reality don't really totally match. They just don't. But yeah, so most of these decals, but not all of them, are going to go on the plane. When I'm satisfied that the paint is dry. This is when I could get impatient. I'm going to peel off the tape and see what happens. And then I'm going to let it sit for a while. Just before I put decals on, because there's a very high possibility that while I'm putting the decals on, I'm going to touch the black paint. Okay, that was the outer layer. This is the real thing here. Okay, well, it's not perfect, but it's a really nice line. I'm not sure it's exactly where it's supposed to be, but nice clean line. This one's a little bit ragged, but not bad. Maybe what this needs is this is an iffy thing to do. I shouldn't, but I'm going to. There's a tiny spot right there that needs to be black, and I'm going to try to do that without messing anything up. I did that. There, I wonder. I'm going to try to take those off with a pinpoint, where the paint, just little bits where the paint leaked through. I was afraid that would happen. And it just makes it look messy. You know, it just does. And I don't like that. So I'm going to try to fix that. Side's a little better. I can't really paint over it with the silver paint, not with the black on there, because the silver will dissolve the black and then make a mess. So try to just scrape off the black paint without doing much to the silver underneath. That worked well enough. Not perfect, but it's pretty good. Do the same thing here. And unfortunately, the black paint doesn't adhere to the silver very well, which means that that I could scratch it pretty easily. But it also means that I can do what I just did, which is to fix some flaws in the line like that, so that it doesn't look bad anymore. Do the other wingtip. Let's see what I've got there. So far, I haven't broken anything. That's always a good thing. Got. I haven't looked at the other side yet. Hopefully that's okay. But this one's got some of that too, where it came right off. That's very nice. There's flaws on this side. Yeah, there are, of course. Okay. Well, the ease with which that came off means that I need to be really careful with the black paint here because it'll scratch. It'll scratch off. So there's a spot there already. Being little dots of unpainted surface. No, that line isn't where I want it, but I'm gonna mess with it. Yeah, the same thing here. It's like, it's not well done. It should be closer, but I'm not going to try to fix that. I just, if I did that by hand, I could maybe make it look really much better, or I could really mess it up. And I don't, it's one of those things where I'm more likely to make a mess of it than to fix it. Yeah, and it'll just have to be uneven like that, because that's just the way it's going to look. I mean, it's a nice straight line, but it isn't always exactly where it's supposed to be. This was the most important thing, and that turned out this model is adequate. Okay, I mean it's coming out definitely in the adequate range, not in the perfect range, but it's okay. I'd like those to be a little better, but when I looked at the box top, even the professionally built model that is on the box cover, those lines aren't right. So mine are almost as good. The thing is, I'm going to let that paint dry for a little while yet. And then put decals on. I think I'm going to do the wings. I think I'll do the wings first. These in isopropyl. Oh yeah, the other thing I can do is I can get rid of this drop my brushes. Yay, that's a good start. It's going to be that kind of day, isn't it? Where I need to be really careful with stuff because things are going to fall. I'm going to knock things over. I've got sticky tape all over my fingers. Yep. Decals out of the way. So if I knock over, I'm an ounce of prevention here. If I knock over, hi, bootleg red. A nasty, incurable disease. What do you do? What if you've got a nasty, incurable disease and all you're worried about is the name for the disease? I don't understand. Is your character going to survive? Thanks for joining in chat. Well, so far, the characters in our Dungeons and Dragon game haven't caught any incurable diseases. Okay. So is this a disease that? Okay, bludgeoning. So you just have to make sure that you're only being attacked with edged weapons. So how did you catch this disease? Are you crawling through a sewer or something and you inhaled sewer muck? Great. I moved the paper towel that these were in out of the way so I wouldn't get them messed up, but the decals were just sitting here the whole time. That was not a smooth move. I'm going to start cutting out decals. Generally, what I try to do with decals is, well, first of all, not have tape all over my scissors. So that's really not good. is your character is a wizard, and anytime you use magic, the disease spreads and basically gives you gangrene in your arms. That I would say that you have lost your usefulness to your group. Your DM is evil. No, I only need one of these at the moment. Okay, a cleric could do that. Can you use like greater restoration or some spells like that? Are there any kind of spells that could just cure you? I like the barrier tattoo. That's a really cool way to do it. Okay. So the way this looks is that the emblem, and it's on the box top too, the symbol goes on the left wing and navy goes on the right wing. And kind of on these rectangles that are molded in. Oh my. Okay. That's really something that that you can't use your standard magical spells on this because well, obviously you can't because the magical academies are afraid of it. Great. That's really nasty. So this goes about there. It overlaps. I'm trying to get it to look like the picture here. This rectangle matches up with this rectangle. So this goes so just right at the top of it, kind of like that. I think I can do that. Just looking at the decal. Generally, they like you to cut the decals out as close as possible to the edges. But these decals are actually really well done in that there isn't much clear decal material that extends beyond the lettering. Okay, well, I hope that's just going to be really challenging. It's going to be really difficult. So this is going to be continuing later today. So on Friday, you can tell me what happened. Mm-hmm. So on Friday, you can tell me what happened in terms of your character's necrosis. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to put decals on. So one technique I learned by reading an instruction, believe it or not, I actually read some suggestions, and it's unusual. It's very unusual for these kits to come. Well, the instructions on this kit are terrible. The instructions on it's Wednesday morning here. Yeah, so on Friday, if you come back on Friday during my Friday stream, you can fill me in on how that's going. So instead of just bathing these decals in water, which I'm going to do first just to moisten it, the helpful hint was to get a paper towel and get it really wet. Okay, like that. And then just get the decal wet to start with. It always curls up. I don't know if you can see this when you get it wet. Good grief. I can't get anything right today. It curls up, and if you leave it in the water, it'll just separate off and really be quite a mess. But it's possible to put it on the paper towel like this and flatten it. And the moisture from the paper towel will soak the water. I mean, the water will soak the water. Yeah. The water will soak into the backing, the paper backing, and loosen the decal. And eventually the decal will detach from the paper. Eventually. It will happen. Eventually. No, I didn't. Okay, well, at least I've got this resting on the black painted tip here on the cardboard. I don't have much choice about that. I know that that's going to rub the black paint off of it, but it's right on the tip up here, so it's going to be really easy to ship in a bottle. You're starting with, start with a challenge, right? Why not? Have you started it yet? Have you started the ship in the bottle kit? Whatever the instructions say, they're not going to be really helpful. That's not exactly true. Sometimes the instructions are really helpful. Sometimes they're just not. Like the order in which the pieces come together, I found, oh, great, that's really good. Yeah, I found that the order in which it recommends putting things together sometimes is just not good at all. Like if you're painting the model, if you follow the instructions for the order of assembly, you can't paint it because wow, this is really stuck on there. Come on. Eventually it'll come loose. The big decal, but still, really? No. I'm going to get impatient and try to move it, and then I'll tear it. Maybe I should get this one started already. I'll start soaking this one when I start putting this on. So this model is going to be, after today, it'll be really close to being finished. There is some chance, I'm not guaranteeing this because it's always a bad idea to predict how things are going to go on this stream. There is some possibility that it could be finished on Friday. If not Friday, certainly next Monday. Wow, it's not moving at all. I mean, it's just absolutely soaked in water. Great. I didn't expect this. I thought, when I got to the decal part, oh, this will go easy. What can you do with decals, right? But if the decal doesn't come off the backing, it really doesn't go well. Where did I put the other decal sheet? Well, there it is. I need to put that away there. I really don't understand this. It's not moving. There, now it's peeling off. I guess it's not going to slide off. It's always better when they slide off. Peeling them off the background. There we go. Oh, great, it's broken. Great, I've got a broken decal. That's not good. Usually that can be kind of fixed, but well, that's just not very nice. Okay, so this is going to take. This is just going poorly already. Okay, this thing that's supposed to be relaxing decaling, but no, I've got a broken decal. Oh man, it's disintegrating. What the heck? This is this is really bad. Okay, this is going to take a huge amount of manipulation to try to recover this. And I'm going to try to get this. The big parts. Look, it's just coming apart. These little fragments. Okay, this can't work. That decal is actually ruined, and I can't do that. So it's just going to be on the top. That was wow. Hope this other one is okay. No, I mean it just totally disintegrated. So there'll be decals on the top of the wing, but not on the bottom. And there's nothing I can do about it. It fell apart. Holy, damn, that was bad. Sorry for my language, but whoa, really, really bad. I don't know if the kit's that old. But it was one thing for it to break, but then it just, the part, there was a little bit, like a 16th of an inch on a side, and it just fell apart. Okay, well, there's nothing to be done about it. Hopefully this one's okay. So at least I can get it on the top, you know. The bottom probably isn't that critical. Holy cow, wow. Where just that one break, the large break where the wing kind of broke off of the star, that was okay. That wasn't a problem. I could have fixed that. But when it disintegrated yet even further, I wonder what's going to happen with the rest of these. Well, if it doesn't have decals, it's just not going to. It's just the way it's going to be. But these decals they were very difficult and not coming off to begin with. Wow, that was that's really disappointing and sad. No, I think this model's maybe, I don't know, it doesn't have a copyright date on it that I can see. I don't think it's terribly old. Maybe 15 or something. I've had older decals, like the the Enterprise Command Bridge. Okay, those were huge decals for all of the display panels, and that kit was like 25 years old, and the decals were just perfectly fine. But I think this is just not a well made model. I mean, it's just not well. It's just not good. It's not a good model. Yeah, I'm just trying to line it up with the rivet lines on the wing. Q-tip on this. Okay, at least that didn't fall apart. So we know it's Navy. Welcome, Dr. Pumpkin's Raid. Thank you. You're here just in time to have missed a disaster. Yeah, this decal for the wing totally disintegrated. It just totally fell apart. I've got another one here. They were supposed to be on both the top and the bottom of the wing, but it looks like it's just only going to be on the top. Okay, so there's that. Hopefully this one won't disintegrate, because if it does, the plane is just not going to look very good. Navy slid off. This is not sliding off. Things are so fragile. I need to try to make it look like it does on the picture here. At least it didn't break apart into tiny little pieces. Yay. That looks pretty close to what it looks like in the picture. I need to okay, that looks okay, right? I mean, it does. It looks okay. It's just that the bottom of the plane isn't going to have a stars and Navy on it, which might be okay because the instructions don't show any decals going on the bottom. Maybe they were just extras. Maybe they knew they were going to be terrible and break. Okay. Thank you. So now these go here on the fuselage. The star goes here and Navy goes behind it. Pushing it down onto the surface so it looks like it's painted on instead of just floating on it. Okay, there. That's okay. I'll do this one first. I was talking about the instructions for this model. They have all these little, which you can't really see, these little arrow pointy things that show where the decals go. Okay, put this decal here, and usually there's a number there because there's numbers on the decal sheet, but there are no numbers on the instructions, which I thought was hilarious. On the other hand, all the plastic parts, the instruction has all sorts of numbers, but there were no numbers on the parts themselves. So it's just, yeah, I would say that this comes close. I think this is the 7th one I'm building, like the 7th one of models, and it is pretty much the worst one in terms of quality of molding. Pretty close. The submarine, which was made in the 1960s, the submarine I built, that kit was made in the mid 60s, and it was pretty bad. I mean, there's some really bad parts to it. In fact, some of the parts were even mal-designed. That is, they were designed they didn't fit where they were supposed to fit at all. And there were lots of places where the two halves of the mold, where they came together, there were lots of places where those were misaligned, so that the two halves of a part were not in alignment. So there was this big seam along them. Well, these decals just look like decals. There's nothing much I can do about it, but a really, really expert modeler, like with Navy here, would have cut out each of those letters individually and trimmed away all the decal material between the letters. I mean, they really would have done that. And I actually did that once on a model long time ago. But with this particular thing, it's not a very good model. This is kind of a weird plane to begin with. I'm not doing that. I kind of like to just be done with it at this point. Oh yeah, yeah. The injection molding. So the molds come together, right? And there's a seam, and then they push molten plastic into it, and all sorts of things go wrong. If the molds aren't sealed really tight, it oozes out between them, and then you get these lines, these these little lines of excess plastic that have to be sanded off all the way around the part. If the molds are slightly out of alignment, okay, which can happen, is the two halves of the part don't match up with each other. And so you've got a little ridge that, again, the whole part becomes smaller because you have to sand down on both sides in order to get a flat surface. And that's a kind of a problem that I dealt with the submarine model, especially, and some really tiny parts. The other thing is that sometimes the mold and then it cools off a little bit, or it doesn't cool off enough, one or the other. And when they come apart, the part doesn't come off cleanly. And so you end up with like blobs of plastic on a part. And sometimes, if it's on a smooth surface, you can sand that down to match the rest of the surface. But if it's on something like this that has a lot of rivet lines, then you just end up losing detail. And so these models, especially the earlier models, they've gotten somewhat better over time. Like the Savoia S21 I built, that kit is only a few years old. That actually was pretty well done. The injection molding was not too bad. But sometimes, especially the older ones, they're really not good at all. I wish this was slide off. I don't want to do the same thing I did to the other decal and have it break. Yeah, see, this one broke, just like the other one. Oh, man, look at that. This is really something. Okay, well, I have to reconstruct this somehow. Fortunately, they are in big pieces, not tiny little pieces. I wish this wasn't a PG-13 stream, because there are some words I would really like to be using right now. Oh, there are. I would really, really like to be using some naughty words. Very much wanting to do that. I'm going to dab this with a Q-tip, I think. Trying to get the excess water off, but at the same time, moving them. Because, yeah, the slightest bit of movement causes a problem with the location of fragments. What I'm dealing with here is fragments of decals. I hope we can't really do much. I think that looks okay. I mean, you can't really tell that it fell apart. I mean, I'm not sure it's in exactly the right location, but it's in a location, and it's not twisted or tilted. And I'm just not. I just can't. I don't think I can mess with it any more than I have without hurting it. Yeah, just stop. I just have to stop. Well, I'm going to do the navy that goes after it. This navy is excess navy now because it's not going on the wing. I'm hoping that the little ones, the little circles and danger signs and stuff, because they're small, will work better. Well, the decals are basically paint on a really thin film. And I think for these, I'm actually thinking that these bits here, the little wings, were added on later, and that's why they just broke off. I'm expecting this one to fall apart too. I really do. I think it's going to. Hopefully, it will fall apart like this did, where the wings just come off. Okay, and little like the other star, the first star I did, it won't just like disintegrate, right? This is where I should just leave it alone. I really should just leave this alone, but I'm not. No, just leave it alone. Okay, it's really important at this point to just leave it alone. Stopped myself just in time. Well, what I should do, since I've got it like on the side here, I'm doing the side, is I should, before I flip it over and do the other side, is just do the other decals that go on the side. And there's three. There's the tail number, there's the danger arrow, and then there's a circle that goes up here for a reason. All right. So this is the tail number, and that goes on the tail up here. And this is the danger that goes here. And this is the circle that goes there. It's just a circle. Tail number goes pretty low on the tail. I'm going to not follow the instructions exactly. I need a reference point, so I'm going to put the tail number. So the top of the tail number is just below this hinge. Do the tail number first. Tempted to do the danger first. No, that one's going to be the hardest of them. And there's a fuel filler thing that goes on the wing. Keep putting these in a place where I hope that they're safe. These are on a different kind of paper altogether. Hopefully they'll behave better too. Stuff that's on this dark blue paper, they're just not, they're not good. Okay, these go back here right behind the insignia. It's actually just about right. I think I'm just going to leave it there. When I built models when I was a kid, younger, much younger, like between the ages of 8 and 15, I guess. I stopped building them when I was maybe when I started my sophomore year of high school. Putting on the decals was always the last thing. And it was just like, oh, the model's done. It's all slapped together. There's glue lines oozing. There's gaps in the between the panels. You know how those models are, and it's just the decals were just you let them float in the water, and they'd come off and they'd sink to the bottom, and you kind of get them back up, and maybe you had to unfold them or something. That's about the worst that you had to do. But I just remember it was like, and I don't remember ever having issues with decals like this. I guess they broke once in a while. I do remember once having to fix a decal that tore. And it was like, oh, I can fix that. And I did, like this. It wasn't a big deal. Maybe it's because of the age of the models, or I'm not sure what, but applying the decals isn't just like the easiest slap them on kind of thing that I remember it being, which is really, really too bad because I'd like it to be. Okay, well, a little after 11. After the decals are on, I got the black paint on. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it looks okay. Okay, I mean it'll do. It'll do. Flaw there. Keep seeing. I'm getting just. Yeah. So this model is going to come out okay. After the decals are on, I can probably stick the propeller on because the only thing that's left then is the canopy, and that's a clear piece of clear plastic, and it needs a huge amount of masking because if you look at the instructions here, the way the canopy is made is it's plexiglass and it's got a metal frame, and the metal frame needs to be painted a metal color, and in order to do that, one needs to mask the clear parts so that you can spray paint the not clear parts, the parts that are supposed to be metal. I'm really kind of surprised that whoever built the one for the cover didn't do that. I mean, just they didn't paint the metal frame lines on the canopy. And I could do the same thing. I could just cement it on and just say, oh well, transparent aluminum, right? That's what it would be. But I'm going to attempt to do the masking and the painting. For this part, it's not too bad. I mean, there's a curve there, but it's not a really bad curve. These parts that come across the top, they look curved, but it's actually a straight line. It's this here. It's this bit here. Okay. That's curved like that. And what that requires is trimming a piece of tape to those exact contours and inserting it there. I might do that first, because if I can't make that happen, then it's just not going to get painted, because it just won't. Okay, so this is coming off, and I want it to go pretty much right here. I'm going to leave it. Yeah. I think that looks straight. All the lines are at an angle, so it's hard to tell. But it looks straight, so I'm going to say it's straight. I'm just going to say it is. And there. Now I've got a tail number. Yay. Let me do the together. Little circle thing shouldn't be too much of a challenge. The danger thing, I mean, it's really nice to tell them that there's danger. The air intake for the jet engine, this is a turboprop, and so there's a jet engine in it, and this is the air intake. And they don't want you to stand there and get sucked in. It's almost big enough to do that, I guess. That says, just so you know for sure, it says danger. I don't know why the pointy end's in the back. No, now I know, yeah. The pointy end is on the back so that there's room for the arrowhead on the front. Yeah. I probably can cut this circle out at this. Well, it didn't fall on the floor. That's good. I didn't have to crawl around on the floor. I don't know what this circle is for. It's just a red circle, but there's a decal for it. There's a place for it right there. Red circle goes right there. Stoke. And then no, I have to get it symmetric. That's always something. You want it to look pretty much the same on the other side. So yeah, so I just have to remember that there's this double rivet line. There's a double rivet line right here. Can't see that really, but right here, these are rivet lines. There's a double one right there. And the blue part of the bar goes right over the double rivet line. And if I use that as my lineup on the other side, then it'll work. And then here, there's a line that comes down, and there's a rivet line, and that goes right. It's another double rivet line. here that goes right through the middle of the A on Navy. So I've got some reference points. I'll just have to try to remember what they are when I do the other side. These are just really not, these are really, have been really hard decals to work with. The massive number of decals for the display panels on the Enterprise Command Bridge, those all worked really well. And well, I don't know if you go back and watch the Lotus Ford, the 1965 Lotus Ford, the one that won the Indianapolis 500 that year, I had some aftermarket decals, and the first set, they disintegrated like this one did. So I had to buy another set, and those worked actually pretty well. And it came out and it looked good. I mean, the whole model ended up looking pretty decent. These are not detaching from the paper backing very well. They should just be sliding right off. If they're not, I'm kind of having to peel them. Maybe I'm being impatient. I'm just going to let it soak for a while yet. But it seems like they're taking a really long time to detach from the backing. So when I plan to eventually be finished with the decals, they're taking at least maybe more than twice as long as I thought they would. So thanks for watching. And once I'm done with these, I'm going to put the propeller on, the big thing on the front here. That's in the box over there. So I'm going to have to reach over stuff. Oh yeah, and the pilot goes in the canopy. That goes on too. So I'll attach those two parts, and then this is just going to sit in the box. The decals will dry, the cement will dry on those different parts, and I'm going to be spending the rest of the stream. I really thought I'd be done with this by now. I'm not even going to apologize. The decals just are not really cooperating. I don't want to tear them like that, like I just did. Jeez. Wow. You might have to do without the danger here. It's just disintegrating. Okay. Yeah, the same thing is happening here as happened before. It's just falling apart. I'm trying to get it on this like a little spatula kind of thing. Whole thing is coming apart. Okay, I'm going to try. I'm going to try my best to put this together. There's a chance that I will fail. Got, you know, it's as good as it's going to get. It's missing a little bit of its arrow point. Pinpoint here. No, I have to be congratulated on performing microsurgery work here and making it look it's not awful. And I need to just stop touching it because I can't do anything more with it. What was the little circle doing? What will happen to the little circle? Oh my God, what did I do? Uh, how did I was messing around with that? Look what happened. Oh my. How in the world did that happen? Now it broke into more parts. I don't know how that happened. Oh, I was messing with this. I must have touched it. Okay. Well, I have to say that these have been like the most awful decals of anything I've ever done. They're just terrible. There's a circle. I'm not doing anything more with it. No, wait. Okay. It's supposed to be rotated. Great. Right on that rivet line, so I have a reference. Okay. Well, the danger thing is kind of messed up. And I don't know what, if anything, I can do about it. It'll just have to look like it was in an industrial accident of some sort. Insignia almost got totally devastated. It's still a little crooked, but there, a little better. Yeah, I'm really anxious about what will happen on the other side. Something. I have to really pay attention here more than I would like to have to pay attention. Okay, well, everything's going like really not well here now. So let's keep at it. Let's just keep doing things and hoping that it doesn't be more of a disaster. This is going to come apart. I know it will fall apart because it's just going to. And I hope that it falls apart in a way that is reparable when it does, because it is. It's just going to tear. Just do that. And I'm going to do the tail number. Tail number is the only thing that works so far. Do that so I can celebrate my success. Wow. And then I'll keep looking over on the other side for reference points and then lifting it up and it's good. It's not the same on the other side. Asymmetric. Yeah, the two sides are not molded the same. I mean, they're just not molded the same. And so, yeah, when I look from one side to the other, it's different. Okay, it's above that rivet line. So you can't really see these very well, but there's a rivet line right here. and the tail number goes above that up here. And if this thing comes off in, large pieces, hopefully large pieces, it will go, the star goes, oh yeah, right. The bar, the blue part of the bar here, this part here, extends just beyond this blue rivet line. And it gets as centered as possible in this oval area. So that gives me some targets to work with. I should have been done like 20 minutes ago with this. It should have been totally completed. But it's not, because it's not. I wonder how much this danger is going to fall apart on me. The Navy sign, the Navy's, the lettering Navy, have been the only ones that have been working so far. Everything else has been, well, in the tail number on the other side. That came out okay. But these, I think, were printed so that these wings were actually printed separately from the rest of the decal. Although the big one on the wing, the top of the wing, that one worked okay. I'm muttering to myself because this has been, wow, just difficult beyond. I'm not going to get my masking done today. I had thought I would get the canopy masked and painted and I could install it on Friday, but it's almost already noon. It's like 22 already. This could end up taking 15 minutes as it comes apart, as it falls apart. Yep. Well, sometimes things just don't work. Like these, it's just not working. It's pretty much right here. That's how a decal is supposed to work. Okay. They're supposed to slide off like that. It's supposed to be symmetric with the one on the other side. Well, that hasn't fallen apart again yet. That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. I think that's okay. This is going to come apart. I can see it's already. You can already see the separation here as it's getting wet. You can always see the separation of the wing from the circle. It's breaking right there. See it? And it's not like I'm even sliding it off incorrectly or anything. It's just breaking there. This one's going to come off too. I want it to come off as one piece though. That's where it's supposed to land. This to come off. Piece, more or less. And then I want them to slide together. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. They go this way. About considering that it's falling apart. To disintegrate there. So I'm going to call this as good as it's going to get. That it just stays there. Wow. See if Navy holds together like it did before. I should push down on that. I should be pushing down on that to squeeze the water out. Oh. But I really can't. It's going to have to dry that way, and hopefully it will look okay. Oh yeah, might as well soak the danger. I wonder how this one's going to fall apart. The other one just totally disintegrated along the front where the arrow is. Destroy that one as well. What I'm going to end up doing is I may end up, what have I got left? An hour? So after I put this together, as much as I can, I mean, it doesn't look great, but considering how much it just like fell apart, it's not too bad. It just looks a little scabby. It looks scratched up. I don't know what's happening here. Part of the blue broke. Yeah, we'll just say, well, You know, it was an experimental plane. They didn't do a very good paint job, which is true. They didn't. And all I've got left then are these fuel filler things. Hopefully those will stay together and not come apart. So after I get these decals on, which is, you know, a while now because of, yeah, got to watch disintegrating decals in action. I'm surprised the back wing didn't fall off. Actually, really, I'm quite surprised at that. I'm going to need to take a little break, a short break. And then I'm going to come back and put the propeller on and the pilot in and get the assembly done. And like I said, I'm not going to I'm not going to get the masking of the canopy done today. It's just, unless it's like miraculous. Seriously, unless it's like miraculous in terms of how well it goes, which so far nothing has been. What am I? Yeah, there. I just. So yeah, unless there's a miracly. Where does the Navy go in terms of the bottom of it? Okay. You know, and these decals really look like decals too. They're just looks like there's just decals on the wing. But like I said, the alternative would be to cut out each of the letters individually, which is possible but tedious, and apply those, and then they would look painted on. But for this model, given, you know, it's just going to look like a decal. A little circle. At least a little circle hasn't messed up for me, or whatever it is. Get that soaking. Trying to get the danger off of here without having it break into a million pieces like the other one did. So far, it's just not cooperating really well. There it is. There's the breakage. I was wondering when it would fall apart. Okay, well, now I will try to reassemble it. Less busted than the other one. Or you have to go silent here while I'm trying to get these lined up. I feel like I'm restoring some sort of, Renaissance masterpiece or something. Tiny little touches of toothpicks and cotton swabs. Okay. I have to say that that's as good as it's going to get. Where did the circle go? Rivet line just above whatever that is. That's the tiny little. Well, I wonder if I can save that. It's the tiny little blue dot. Goes right there. This is silly, right? I'm doing two little things with little pins and trying to get this tiny little blue dot of decal onto that little white spot there. And it tore up even more. How good grief. Just touching it made it just fell apart. Wow. That decal is just useless. I wonder if I could just like put a tiny bit of really dark blue paint on that, maybe. I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't expect by touching a practically dry decal that it would fall apart. But hey, that's the way this model is. So I thought I was going to do a repair, and it turned out to be just the opposite. It ended up to be a not repair. It ended up being yet even more of a problem with the decal. Okay, well, there's that, and I've got these fuel filler things. I might as well put them on. Those, fuel goes into the plane. So I'm going to just put them both on here. Let them get wet. And I mean, what are the odds that all the little writing on there is just going to totally disintegrate? Fuel system. Something bent. The vent for the fuel system. So it goes, these go like around here. I guess it's not like right above the end. I guess it's not critical, as long as they're symmetric. Now, considering how awful this was, it'll look okay. I mean, how awful it was in terms of things like falling apart and just being awful. This plane actually flew. I know it's hard to believe. So they've got Convair stickers here, Convair logos. They're really proud of this plane. I don't know where those are supposed to go though, because there's no instruction for them. There's no instruction for where those should go. So they're just not going to go. It's not going to go on because there's no place for them. Okay. Well, this was interesting. I hope you enjoyed watching all of these things just be awful. Decals disintegrating, breaking apart, being pieced together, kind of. Usually things take twice as long as I think they would. This took more than 3 times as long as I thought it would. just because of because they just are bad, just bad decals. And I don't think it's because they're old. I think they're just bad decals. So as I'm waiting for these to, come off the paper, kind of, I'm thinking of doing. This is an old model kit. You can tell because the box is all beat up. Okay, 65 Shelby GT350, which is a really, really cool car. If you've ever seen one in real life, they were kind of overpowered and the brakes weren't very good and the steering wasn't all that great. They didn't handle terrifically, but they were really pretty. The cars, when they came from the factory, were generally like this, white with a blue stripe. But my daughter and I both agree that this car looks, I got this in the way. I don't want to move it. It looks way better blue with a white stripe. And so it's not like factory authentic, but that's how I'm going to paint it, is a blue body with a white stripe instead of white with a blue. It looks better. And it looks like I got some pictures of the interior, and the interiors were black. So that's how I'm going to make it. Although I am kind of tempted, again, since I'm not doing factory colors, I'm really tempted to do the interior in blue, but we'll see. So I opened this model, and I opened the box, and there's just like a million parts, just bajillions. That's the technical term of parts in here, and it's going to end up taking forever to build this. So this is the project. If I do this one, this is the project for next year. But as I was laying in bed sleeplessly this morning, wanting to sleep in a little bit longer than I was, okay, kind of woke up and I was tossing and turning, that kind of thing going on, right? Well, what I'd really like to do, which would be a fun thing to do. Boy, these aren't coming off at all. They might not have a fuel system vent. It just might not, because they're not showing any sign of loosening from the paper. Well, this one is. There we go. It's actually sliding. Cool. It's supposed to go like above the end, somewhere up here. Put it between these rivet lines here. Looks like, yeah, these are good reference lines. So there's a rivet line here, and this red thing is right between these two rivet lines. So that's just where that's going to go. It's going to be like that. And now it's not straight anymore. That was just altogether not good. Thing I do is just not right. Okay, well, that's where that's going. Whether it likes it there or not, that is its new home. Okay, and this is sliding off too. That's good. It's going right here. Sorry for going quiet there. I need to, I really just need to focus here a little bit while I get this last bit on here. This plane was a lot better before the decals, and the decals actually made this thing go from like A minus B plus to like a solid B, even a B minus, just the way the decals came apart. But it's, you know, if they fall apart, they fall apart. I did the best I could in terms of repair, trying to repair them where they came up, where they came apart. It is what it is. It's just needs to rotate the tiniest bit. I wish I could get it to move for me. Having to put all sorts of water on it again. Okay, well, there. I mean, that danger is busted up. This is busted up. It's just the way it is. Um, the decals look like decals, not like they're painted on. Just yeah, but you know, it didn't look really good without the decals, so I have to say that. And of course, you know, I expected that the tips of these things would be scarred up a little bit, and they are. Clean this. What needs to be done now is the propeller needs to be put on the front, and the pilot needs to be attached in the cockpit, such as it is. And then I need to mask the canopy. And I may or may not start on that, but I need to take a break. I need at this point to take a quick bio break, which I am going to do. Then I come back and do those attachment things. And depending on the time. Well, I'm not sure what I'll do after that. We'll see how long those take. So I'll be back. I'm not going to even put the I'm not going to put the break screen on. I'm just going to be back in probably like under 5 minutes, so you can watch decals rot. Okay, well, this is one of those things, when I'm looking at it from 2 feet away, it's not too bad. Okay, so this is definitely one of those things where it needs to be viewed under dim indirect lighting from a minimum of 18 inches away. It just is that kind of thing. Oh, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to check something else. thought because things just kept falling off the shelf. So I've got this GT350 that would be really fun to build and so on. But there was this guy called Ed Big Daddy Roth. Ed Big Daddy Roth. He kind of looked like this. He wore a T-shirt. He was beatniky kind of thing. And what he did was he built hot rods. Okay. But one of his things was the rat fink. Okay. Okay, you look at that and you go, oh, yeah, it's not very good, right? That's a kind of an ugly thing. But his deal was the rat fink, and I built like 7 of these rat fink models. There was a surf fink and a rat fink on a bike. This is the Spanish version, the rat fink on a Honda. Okay. And they reissued these, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago or so. And yeah, I built these when I was probably like a freshman in high school. I spent the entire year just building about 7 of these, and I did a really fine job. I did a nice job painting them and everything. This was one of my favorites, Angel Fink. Okay, I don't know why, but I did a really cool thing with this. I even like the fuzz that was coming out of there. I got a cotton ball and painted it green, and then covered it with white and stuff. And these are just really fun to build, and they're really kind of weird looking when they're done. Rat Fink with Bat Fink. I have to look up to see if like some of the model kits that I was going to build, like the X-15 and the science fiction Aurora plane, ended up being worth like $90 or $100, and I'm not going to open them and use them. But I want to see if these are still cheap. I actually might. I don't know if anybody cares about this or if they think it's stupid. What's the feedback? Are these really stupid? And no one would like to watch me build these, or are they just kind of fun? Fun enough that it might be fun to watch. I don't know. But that's something I might do instead of the car. I'm not sure. But I thought I'd bring them out and show them to you. Um, okay, well, what I really need to do is be careful. I just bopped the tail of this with the box as I was moving it around by not being careful. This goes on the nose. This goes in the cockpit. That's the ladder that gets you in. I just bopped the whole thing again with the box. Wow, I'm coming on. Yeah, okay. It's getting close to the last half hour. When you get into the last half hour of the stream, there is always the opportunity for disaster. Now I'm going to do my best to not have a disaster. This is supposed to fit in here, and when I test fitted, it did. There we go. These are supposed to turn, and they kind of do, so I actually have to cement that on. I mean, it's holding with friction now, but I need to cement that on, and then I need to cement this guy on. And I need to do all of that without touching any of the decals like I'm just doing now. It's going to go upside down. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully, without making the hole bigger, and so when I get the paint off of this, get kind of the paint off of this, so that I'm going to put cement on that, model cement, and then push this in, and it will hold. Around the whole inside of of this opening. Yep. And not on the front of it, but the inside of the opening. Fortunately, this doesn't show, so this total mess that I just made is going to be invisible as soon as I do this. And then just going to get it done. It actually sits like this on these stupid little wheels there. And hopefully, yeah, the cement is kind of gripping. Hopefully it will grip enough. How did that go from being really tight to just practically really loose? I didn't really even do anything to it. It was held in by friction, and now it's barely gripped now. Put the cement everywhere there. There, that'll hold. Let's see. Hopefully that'll hold. And this one, this goes like this. There's this tiny little tab that holds it there. And I'm going to end up using contact cement to hold that on. It's the only way it's going to work, really. I can do this without screwing up. But yeah, here. If I moved it, well, I will in a bit. I'm going to show this to you. It kind of it really doesn't look too bad at a distance. To look at a distance. Just goes on both, and then it grabs onto itself. That's why it's called contact cement. It binds to itself really, really strongly. Which is good because that's what I want this to do. And that just needs to set there for a few minutes. So that, its adhesion gets ready to go. And then I'll stick the pilot on, and hopefully I can keep it vertical like this. Because I want it to stay vertical like this. So that this sets properly. Okay, so I don't know if anybody's watching this or not, but I didn't even start masking the canopy today, much less finish, because the decals were just such a disaster. So on Friday, when I get back at more or less 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday, I will be masking the canopy. And I'm waiting for the contact cement to get ready to be contacted. It's this thing. And there's some, bits of plastic here that need to be sanded off from the molding process. There's a little lump there. And some here, you can see them. Yeah, there. I probably could do that today, but the way things are going in the last half hour of the stream, I'm really likely to miss, I'm really likely to just end up sanding the canopy itself and then scarring it, which is not something I really want to do. So if you can see the little lines on there, if I catch the light right, you can see these lines, these raised lines. Those are the metal frame, or supposed to represent the metal frame of the canopy. And I need to mask right along that edge, just perfectly, so that I can cover the clear part and paint those lines this aluminum color. And then it will look like the metal frame. And these aren't too bad. There's a little bit of a curve there. I can get that. These are okay. Okay, most of this is okay, but this part here, with this curve here, I'm going to pretty much what I'm going to be doing is cutting a piece of tape to fit. That's about all I can do, is just keep trimming it and then saying, oh, that didn't work, toss it and keep trimming it until I get it to cover that curve. The other thing I'm going to do, and this isn't necessary, but I'm going to anyway, is I'm going to tape the inside as well as the outside and paint the metal frame on the inside. I did that on the Savoia S21 Porco Rosso's plane. The canopy there was really tiny. But if you look through it, and you can because it's clear, like you look through it and look at that, then you just see clear plastic. And you should be seeing the metal frame just like you do from the outside. And so, yeah, that's why it's gonna take a while, because I have to tape it. I don't have to, but I'm going to tape it inside and out, especially along the bottom and here, where you look through it like this and you can see those lines. If I can't, the curved part up here, as I'm inspecting this, is the least critical part, because when you look through it, the canopy can't really see the inside of this curved line. You can see these lines and this line, where the two parts of the movable part and the immovable part come together. This line here and these bottom lines and those are really visible when you look through it. So, I'm going to have trouble doing this on the outside. I'm just thinking, no, I'm not going to do that on the inside, but I am going to do the bottoms and these major kind of horizontal frames. And then this whole thing it attaches like that, goes on like that. But, okay, so because the decals were just so bad and they kept breaking and disintegrating and in some cases just totally failing, and they don't look good when they're on either, I'm going to not do what I was planning to do, which is to do some masking of the canopy today. That's just not happening. Nope, not happening. But I'm going to stick this guy on, and hopefully it will stick. Don't fall in. Oh, that was almost bad. Grab like you're supposed to, contact cement. To put this horizontally. Don't touch the data. Oh man. Yeah, this last half of the stream syndrome is attacking in a major way. I was touching the decals. I think I've got enough contacting now. Now it's more or less centered. It's more or less not falling off. You know, if it does fall off, hopefully it won't fall in. I think I need to stop pushing my luck here today. Sorry, I'm going to move the camera around. This is always I'm not very good at this. My camera guy, me, and my director and producer, me, are really not very good at this. And sometimes, as you know, I don't even keep it on screen while I'm working. But what I'm going to do is move the camera around as much as I can so that you can see. Yeah. That making everybody seasick? Sick of seeing this? Right. Got a picture of my hand there. I guess that's about as good a view. What I want to not do is like break something here. So there. That's the Pogo. And the only thing that's missing is the canopy. And I could get lazy like they did on the model on the box top and just attach the canopy and declare it finished. I could just do that. But no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to mask the canopy and then spray the metal frame the same metallic color as this. And I have to say, you know, other than for the decals, which were a huge disappointment, just a massive disappointment in terms of their lack of quality, other than the decals, this would have been a solid B plus, I think. But the decals just ruined it. And it's just not, they're just not good. They just disintegrated and broke and all sorts of terrible things. And they look like decals that are just stuck on more than almost any other model. But there it is. It didn't actually, in the scheme of things, didn't take that long to build it. You know, I don't keep track of how long it takes, but it seemed to go pretty fast. There weren't very many parts. I spent a lot of time sanding because the parts were ill made. The injection molding wasn't very good. In fact, the two halves of the fuselage, I talked about this. The right side of the fuselage is slightly bigger than the left side in terms of dimension. And so they just didn't match up. which is why this took a huge amount of time and why, some of these other parts too just had to be sanded down. The wings fit together pretty well. Well, I should say because the right side of the fuselage wasn't quite right, the right wing didn't fit very well. Okay, but that's just part of how the model was produced. But other than the canopy, it's completed. So I'm going to be probably on Friday. I'll end up spending. You're just going to have to watch me tape things. I'm going to just be taping things forever. I wonder what that used to belong to. There's a little piece of decal down here. Look at that. Right there. Is that part of the danger decal? Danger decal is. I put it together as well as I could, considering what I was working with. This came together as well as it could, considering how I was working with. This side just kept breaking even more and more. There. The only decals that didn't fall apart were the navies and these little dots. Otherwise, they did. I've got a little bit of black touch-up to do on the fins. I knew that was going to happen, that the black paint would rub off. And there's a little spot there that probably should be touched. So on Friday, I'm going to do a little bit of black, tiny. I could do it now, but what will happen is I'll move the brush up and it'll slip and get black paint on places I don't want it. So on Friday, I'll do a little bit of black paint touching up and then masking the canopy. Camera like that, leave this like that. I could get the ladder out, but I'm not going to. But if you look at that, it kind of looks like that. Kind of ended up looking like this. Everybody. Yeah, there's that. Oh yeah, one more. What else do I have here? I've got it came with a nameplate. Might as well pull that out. I don't need this box anymore because nothing will fit in it. Here's the ladder. The ladder goes like this. And the pilot is somehow supposed to climb this ladder. Okay. And I think step from there to the back of the canopy and somehow swing up and slide into the seat. I have no idea how that really is going to work. Here's an extra little bit of plastic. And then here's the nameplate. I'll show that to you. And then this box can just go out of the way. Yep. It's the Convair vertical takeoff. Planes nowadays that do this are called VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing. This is just VTO. And you can see that landing this and trying to imagine you're sitting there like that, right, facing up. You can't turn around really. What can you see? You have to have like a mirror here somehow, and somebody on the ground saying, 10 more feet, 8 more feet, closer, you're really close. Oh, boom. Oh, you landed, I think there's actually videos. This thing actually flew. And you can go on YouTube or something and find videos of this thing flying and landing. And it flew like maybe 2 or 3 times or something. And then they said, nope, there's really no future in this. Even though its performance wasn't horrible, it did take off, transition to horizontal flight and land again. You can see that getting in and out of it was incredibly dangerous. I don't know how many pilots they lost just trying to climb in and out of the cockpit. It was probably more dangerous than flying it. I could get the toothpick out of the way. Set that there. It's this Convair VTO. There. Well, I'm going to wrap up. It's like 15 minutes early, but I don't have anything else I can really do other than talk about Dyson Dungeons. Dyson Dungeons runs a Dungeons and Dragons show. It's an amazing show. You should watch it. It streams with a live chat on Sundays at 2. And you can catch previous episodes on YouTube or listen to them as a podcast. We play our characters really well. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes we have Mortal Kombat where my character mostly dies. I've been mostly dead, I think, 3 times so far in this campaign. And other times we're just looking for food. We're very food. We don't eat as players, but as characters, very focused on local cuisines, so to speak, or just really crummy diner food, or whatever is, different food. It's just part of the show. We're getting into a really scary and dangerous and very serious part of the campaign. So we as players are having our characters kind of enjoy themselves, because we know that we're likely to face a danger that could destroy us. We could have a TKP in the next set of sessions. We don't know. Just know that it's going to be quite dangerous and scary and serious, and so we're being very lighthearted at the moment. But that will end soon. I'm rattling on about that. Just watch it. Okay, it would really be appreciated. So you could become a follower on Twitch. You can become a subscriber on YouTube. You can even go to patreon.com/Dyson Dungeons and become a patron and help support the show. So please do that. This stream, as I've said over and over again, is a place where I have been painting in the past dungeon tiles that we produce on 3D printers behind me, and they show up in the show and are likely to do that again sometime soon. I'll show them on Friday. I'm not going to bring them out now because I'm probably going to knock something over if I do, but I'm going to show them on Friday to show them off. But this stream started as painting dungeon tiles and minifigs for the show. And then when there weren't any of those, I was told to just build models, because I've got like 40 models here that I bought when I retired, and I thought I'd be bored, and I never got around to them. And so now I am getting around to them. But just to give you an example, this is a maxi version, a large size, 4 times life size version of my character, Ulseth Frobog Fighter, wearing his magical ancient and magical order armor of Ramardan. Okay, the color scheme, as you can see, is green and silver, carrying a flaming longsword and a cold enhanced short sword offhand. I in the show do not have a cape, but this figure does, so it's there it is. I've talked about capes before, how I don't understand the capes. They look cool, right? When you're walking, they're nice and flowing and everything. But if you're actually getting into combat, I can't see that they'd be anything but in the way, just really, really in the way. So I would recommend that if out there being in combat or in superhero things like that, just, don't wear a cape. Keep it for show, but not for serious action. But this is the kind of thing that I would do, is paint a quarter the size minifigs, which I've got some over there I can show, but I'll do that on Friday too. But once again, Dyson Dungeons and Dragons show, not just a basement game. Hi, Enforcer. Yeah, you tuned in just in time, almost to say, yeah, it's almost time to go. I've got like 8 minutes left. But let me, this is almost done. Look, It's like a plane. Let me see if I can, show it to you. See, it's almost complete except for the canopy. So yeah, and so on Friday I'm going to be masking the canopy for painting. I'll be doing that, and then probably if the masking is successful, I'll paint it over the weekend and install it, and then I'll start on something new. But since you're on, hold on, I want your opinion. It's because this is almost done. Almost done. I got to start a new one. Is move the camera out of the way here. I've got this. It's a 65 Shelby GT 350 124 scale old model. This is a vintage model, like a lot of the other ones I've been building. Oh, you're only in audio. Okay. That's right. You are. It's been quite a while since you joined in. I forgot about that. Well, let me just tell you about them. I can either build a car, 1965 kind of muscle car. Yep, I know that. Yeah, now that you mentioned it again, but it's been a while uh, since you've been on, so I kind of missed you. So yeah, in chat. So I could either build a car or I could build a Fink, an Ed Big Daddy Roth Fink model, which are you have to look up Ed Big Daddy Roth Fink online to really have any idea what I'm talking about. But they were he was famous for creating this character called a Rat Fink. And I built them when I was a teen because I thought they were really cool. And my mom absolutely, totally completely hated them. She thought they were hideous. And in fact, they are kind of hideous. They're designed to be that way. But I could just slap one of these together. It could be just kind of fun to build. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's a nostalgia thing for me to do something I did when I was 13 or 14 years old, which was at this point 60 years ago. Wow. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'll definitely go to build the Shelby, but I'm not sure if I want to build one of these first. Yeah, I remember being 30, kind of. It was a long, long time ago. Build a nostalgia one? Yeah, I think I might I'm going to look these up to see if they're valuable or not. A couple of models I almost started building. I looked up on eBay and they were like $90 or $100. And I'm just thinking, for $90 or $100, I'd rather have the $90 or $100 than to build the model. So I might just try to resell them on eBay. So I'm going to look these up to make sure that, in the 25 years since they were issued, is there a date on these? No, I think there's a copyright date on it. These are not originals. The originals were made in the mid 1960s. The originals were made in the mid 1960s, and I built them like in 66 or so, 1965, 1966. These were reissues. They reissued all of them because the originals are hideously expensive. If you can get one from the 60s, you're looking at like $150 or more for a kit. But they reissued these in the 1990s, I believe, and they were pretty cheap because nobody liked them, I guess. But yeah, because I built them and liked them when I was a kid, and my mom hated them, so there was that. I might just build one of these first if they're not if they're not reselling for 40 or like $50 or $60 or something now. They might be more expensive. A full 6 inches tall, like gigantic 6 inches tall. I don't remember them being that small. Ideal for mounting on car dashboards, which is actually illegal in some places. You can't hang things from your rearview mirror or put things on your dashboard because it blocks your vision. So I might do one of these. I bought the whole reissued set of maybe 8 or 9 of these. There's a surf fink on a surfboard, just a plain rat fink. I like this one because he rides a motorcycle. There's not surfboarding. Oh yeah, there's a couple of car models, finks that are in cars. There's a moon fink. But anyway, I'm going to check to see if these have any value or not, and if they're like what I paid for them, $15 or something, then I might build one of these before I start working on the Ford, because the Ford. Oh my God. Skin cancer? Well, I hope it's not the real serious kind. There's 2 or 3 different kinds. One is they can catch it and just sort of cut it off and it's gone. Others are much more serious. Oh, geez. Oh, I'm sorry that's not going well. I'm glad you popped in, though. I'm going to have to be signing off in just a couple of minutes, but I'll be back on Friday if you're around. You can listen to me mutter about how awful the masking taping of the canopy is going. You missed me wanting to say really naughty words. No, he's got to get treatment other than just the surgery to remove it. I knew somebody who had the serious kind of skin cancer. They were at work with me. Great. That'll be cool to get the certification. Will that get you into a good job, do you think? Or a raise in your current job? That would be nice. I lost my train of thought. That would be really good. So when is your test? Is it coming up soon, Enforcer? Well, I'm going to check on the value. The friend, was receiving treatment and it went into remission and she's doing just fine. They have really good treatments now. Oh, I see. Okay, so just whenever you're feeling relaxed and prepared. Yeah, my friend from work who had the serious form of skin cancer just ended up really doing actually pretty well because the treatments are so much better than they used to be. There used to be practically nothing. So I hope your friend comes through really well. Oh, so that's pretty intense, isn't it? An oral thing, and then you have to actually write a report and do, okay. Well, I'll be looking forward to hearing your progress on that. I do need to sign off. My time is pretty much up. Yeah, and tune in on Friday, and we'll do some catching up then. So thanks for dropping in. I'm going to check on the value of these models to see if there is any. I know there isn't for the car. So I'll either get started on, probably on Friday because the masking will take me all session. But I'll either get started on the car after that, or I might just do one of these and kind of, see how it goes. It might be kind of fun. So I'll see you then. Thanks everybody for joining in. thanks for putting up with me as my decals just totally disintegrated today, but it came out looking okay. The model is looking okay, which is sometimes the best I can really hope for. So I'm going to let this sit here. Hope it doesn't get broken between now and Friday, and I will see you then. Thanks a lot. Bye.